This is gonna be the smallest home gym build I've shown on the channel to date. When stored away, this only takes up 42 inches by 18 inches for a total of 4 square feet. So this is something that's going to easily fit into most people's spaces, no matter what. I even have a variant on this home gym concept that I'll show at the end for those of you who can't have any sort of permanent setup that takes up literally 0 floor space. For this build, I'm gonna go through each piece that I chose, why I chose it, and I'm gonna give a couple of alternative options for each piece. But before we get too far into the video, if you wanna work with me and my team to achieve your body transformation goals, click the link down in the description. And links for all the products that I'll be talking about in this build will be down in the description as well. First up, the dumbbells. For this build specifically, I went with the Snode AD 80s that adjust from 10 pounds up to 80 pounds. And the Snode and the Dumbbell for this type of build, I feel are really the two best options because 80 pounds is pretty heavy. And if you're going with this type of setup, it's probably gonna be heavy enough for your goals. If someone needs to go heavier than that, or they have more serious strength gains than that, you're probably not looking at this type of setup to start with. So I think the Dumbbells or the Snodes would both be the best options for this type of setup. And the reason why I went with the Snodes over the Dumbbells for this setup is actually not so much because of the dumbbells themselves, but actually because of the stand. I like this stand a lot because of 2 reasons. One, it has threaded feet on the bottom, which I have removed and replaced with caster wheels so that I could easily roll this dumbbell set in and out of the way so that I could get to the cable setup, and then I can store it away all together. And I like the stand from the perspective of you can actually walk inside of it and get the weight that you want, unrack it and walk out, versus with the Dumbbells you kind of have to hunch over the stand. And the third reason is because the bench that I have for this setup will actually store away and hang right on the inside of this dumbbell stand and take up no additional space. So when it's fully stored away, this is the whole thing. That's it. So it's incredibly compact. However, if you wanted to go with the Dumbbells, of course, that would be an excellent option. There's also the Pepin Fast Series dumbbells if you want an upgraded pick that goes all the way up to 125 pounds per dumbbell, and you just so happen to have 1,300 bucks laying around. And then there's also the Iron Master dumbbells, which are near and dear to my heart. I've talked about them many times on the channel. I really love them because out of any adjustable dumbbell, they're really the closest that you're going to get to the feel of a fixed dumbbell without having a full set of actual fixed dumbbells. But the Iron Masters are a bit harder to recommend nowadays because of the Pepins. The Pepins are only $200 more than the Iron Master base kit plus 120 pound expansion. They go just a tiny bit heavier if that 5 pounds makes a difference to you. And most importantly, they adjust much more quickly than the Iron Masters, allowing you to add versatility to your workouts because you can utilize supersets and drop sets that you wouldn't really effectively be able to utilize with the Iron Master dumbbells. As a budget option, if any of the ones that I've talked about so far are out of your price range, you could go with something like the Kinsey adjustable handles and then just add some standard weight plates to your collection, as you can find them used from garage sales or Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Craigslist, or something like that. Next, we have our cable setup. For the cables, we went with the MaxPro. The reason why I went with the MaxPro is largely because of the size. With a home gym setup that is this tight and compact, you're just really not going to be able to utilize a cable setup, at least a traditional type of cable setup. You could do something like the Titan wall-mounted single cable, but then you have to have plates to go along with it. So as far as an all-in-one contained unit, this is really what we're looking at. And I have the Elite bundle, which means it comes with a few other things. We have the wall track here so that we can attach the main unit to this wall track, and then we can slide it up and down and use it more like a functional trainer. So that's a huge benefit here. And then of course you can take it off and use it without the wall track, and it comes with different handles. You can do suspension training with it. It comes with suspension handles, and then you can pull it down to a certain place and then you can lock it in and do suspension training like that. You've got some ankle cuffs so that you can do things like glute kickbacks. You've got a belt, you can do some belt squats. And we have a bar that connects on each side so that you can do barbell squats or chest presses, or you can do bench press with the cable, because this thing actually attaches to the bench, which I think is a pretty cool feature. So there's a lot of versatility that you get out of that Elite bundle. With the MaxPro and the extra things that come with it as a part of the bundle, you can really train every single muscle in the entire body. But there are a few drawbacks with this system though. One being the price. This thing is $1,400, so it does cost a pretty penny. You could get a budget level functional trainer for around the same price if you have the space for it, and if you're okay with having to then buy a bench separately, which is going to add cost back into the build, making it a little bit more expensive than going with this. But if you have that little bit of extra budget, and if you have the space available, then a functional trainer would be a better option than the MaxPro. Which brings me into the other con of this machine, which is it is a concentric only machine. There's little to no resistance on the eccentric portion of the rep. You can think of it similar to how bands work. When you're performing the positive portion of a rep with a band, it gets tighter and tighter. There's more and more resistance. And then when you're lowering the weight back down, or you're going back closer to the anchor point, there's less and less resistance on the way back. This is important if your goal is muscle growth, because the stretch on the muscle during the eccentric portion of the rep is what's responsible for most of the muscle growth stimulus when you're working out. Otherwise, if you don't have the space for a functional trainer, then outside of this, you're probably looking at something like the Tonal, which costs a whopping $4,000. Alternatively, if you want to go with the most bang for your buck piece of home gym equipment you can possibly buy, you can go with a resistance band setup like this with all of the different handles and attachments for only 15 to 25 bucks. And I actually was sent this unit. MaxPro wanted me to check it out and see what I thought, but I kept going back and forth on it because of the concentric only training, and I couldn't really decide how I felt about it or where I landed on it. And that was also around the time that I took my brief, not so brief, hiatus from YouTube. And so I ended up just never making a review on this, and I still have mixed feelings on it. And when it comes to the bench, we have the bench that came with the MaxPro bundle. I will talk about other options in just a minute, but the reason why I like this bench specifically and this bundle specifically for this application is because not only does it save space because it folds up and is easy to put away, but it also integrates nicely with the MaxPro that we're using, because when you let it out here, you will see that there are little grooves under the feet on each side so that you can put the MaxPro underneath it and lock it in. This allows you to do exercises like bench press or seated tricep extensions or lying tricep extensions, seated curls, or anything like that where you need to be on a bench but have weight secured under you. So I thought that was a really cool addition with how they integrated that into this bench. But of course, most of you aren't gonna have this bench that comes with this bundle. So if you're building this from scratch, I would recommend you go with an adjustable bench. Since we're going with a very limited setup, we want to get as much variety as physically possible, and having an adjustable bench is going to allow you to get just a little bit of extra versatility out of the space that you're utilizing. And going back to my original ultimate home gym build that I did way back in 2020, I used the Rep AB 5100, which is a full flat incline decline adjustable bench. And that is an excellent option if you have the room to leave the bench out in the room, or if you have enough closet space that you can roll it away into closet. But if you don't, I would recommend getting an adjustable bench that folds up and can store under a bed. Similar to this option I found on Amazon. And I did promise there was an option for those of you who couldn't have any sort of permanent setup of any kind and specifically needed something that could completely be stored away, and this is that setup. The dumbbell stays the same. We utilize the wheels that I have installed on the stand, and then you can take the dumbbells, roll them out when you need them, and roll them in the closet when you don't. And then for our cable setup, in addition to the wall track option that you can get with the MaxPro, there's also a kind of elaborate system with straps and little brackets here that you can use to attach the MaxPro to a door frame. And of course you can adjust that up and down as needed. You can just pop it out. It works the same way as the wall track, but it goes on a door. And so you can use the MaxPro the same way, but just put it on a door. It's a little bit less convenient to adjust, and there is a little bit of setup and tear down, but you can use it on a door, work out with it, and then store it all away. Because one of the other cool things about the MaxPro, for all of the benefits and drawbacks, one of the things that is pretty cool is just how compact this thing is. It stores up to this, and it comes with a little backpack. You can put it in the bag, put it in the closet, and then this is how much space it's gonna take up. If any of the products mentioned are interesting to you, check out those links down in the description. It helps out the channel when you do. As always, God bless you and your family, and we'll see you next week. Actually, no, I'm not gonna even mention that line. Papa Treadaway making an entry with his tractor going down the road.